Judge, so they cannot indict this president. Is this like when you go to the gym and you get on the treadmill but you don't turn it on?
This is like everybody has an opinion, and I respect the mayor. I respect the ferocious way in which he's defending his client. He is very astutely drawing attention to himself and away from the president when he makes statements like the president can't be indicted. But the truth is there are two Justice Department memos. One says the president cannot be indicted. The other says the president can be indicted. They're guidance only. They're not mandatory. They're both from the Whitewater era. And if you remember how Whitewater ended, it was Bill Clinton pleading guilty to perjury after, I said earlier, Ken Starr, was actually Robert Ray at that point, waved an indictment in front of him and said, you want us to take this to the grand jury? Do you want to just plead? And he agreed to just plead. When you just plead without an indictment, they call the document by another name. They call it an information. That's what General Flynn pleaded to. That's what Papadopoulos pleaded to. That's what Vandersveer pleaded to. It basically means the defendant and the government agree, so why bother going to the grand jury? And the Supreme Court has ruled very clearly that the president can be subpoenaed. They can't make him talk, just like they can't make anybody talk. You can invoke the Fifth. He has other privileges he can invoke because he's the president. But he can't resist the indictment because he doesn't want to show. He'd have to the subpoena because he doesn't want to show. He'd have to show. But if Rudy wants to challenge the subpoena, he should. A good lawyer should challenge a subpoena that goes to his client and let a judge call.
What happens if the president doesn't show up for a subpoena?
Well, they could get an order requiring him to show, and there the Supreme Court is very clear. If a federal court orders the president to do something, he has to do it. If he refuses, then we have a constitutional crisis between two branches, the judiciary and the executive. That's what happened in United States versus Nixon, where the President Nixon refused to surrender the tapes. That went all the way to the Supreme Court. They said, you have no choice. And he did eventually comply. We know how it ended.